Hi, Amira here from Kenilworth Floral, and today I'm going to teach you guys how to make a baby's breath cloud wreath. So in my last tutorial I taught you guys how to make an evergreen wreath, but I think for a lot of people evergreens read immediately as kind of Christmassy, and sometimes people don't want something that's so demonstrative of a specific holiday or season. So today I'm going to show you how to make something with baby's breath or gypsophilia. I love baby's breath for winter designs because I find these sprays of teeny tiny little white flowers look like little flurries of snow. So we're going to start with a piece of chicken wire to make our form, and I've just got a long piece here, and the great thing about chicken wire is that you can make it whatever size or shape you want. You can get this from any hardware store or home garden center. So I'm going to make a little sausage to begin with, and I'm just going to kind of roll this. And just kind of squish it with my hands. You'll find that it kind of holds shape pretty nicely, which is why I love to use it to create my base. And then turn it into a circle. And at the end, with all of these little kind of loose pieces of wire, you just kind of wrap them around each other until they're kind of fastened to one another. And then once I've got a shape that I like, I'm just going to come in with a couple zip ties and just kind of fasten it together. So once I have it fastened in place, I'm just going to cut the loose ends and start covering it. Now, I usually go around a few times, so my first trip around the circle, I'm mostly focused on covering up the mechanics of the wreath. So I'm going to come in with just some smaller, shorter stems of baby's breath and cut them into really little breaks. So you don't need to use the full stem. I'm just cutting them into like 3-inch sections like this, and arrange them in a kind of radiant pattern all around the base of the wreath. And when I say radiant pattern, I just mean that the stems are going to kind of crisscross in a circular formation so that they catch onto one another and kind of hold each other in place. So right now, I'm not thinking too much about the shape of the wreath, but rather covering all of the chicken wire up. So now that I've got my base down and all of my chicken wires covered, I'm going to come in with some more baby's breath and kind of create more of an interesting cloud-like shape with this structure. The great thing about baby's breath is that it mounds really nicely and you can make really cool cloudy shapes. I've seen a huge renaissance with baby's breath in the last few years, and there's a lot of designers out there who are doing really cool things with kind of cloud formations and installations. So I've picked this glitter sprayed baby's breath for our second layer. I've got a bit of gold and a bit of silver, and I'm going to cut these pieces longer than the first pieces. So keep them kind of around the 6-inch, 8-inch range, and I'm going to start sticking them in, again, still in a bit of a radiant pattern, but more in like selected moments in the wreath so that it's not a perfect circle. I kind of want these bigger pieces jutting out. Another fun thing about the baby's breath is that it dries really nicely on the stem. So whereas the evergreen foliage really starts to drop its needles once you bring it inside and it's exposed to the artificial heat, baby's breath just kind of stays as is. I mean, it gets a bit crispier, but in general it holds up really nicely. So if you're decorating an interior space, or you live in an apartment building and you don't have a front door that's necessarily exposed to the cold temperatures of the outdoors, then baby's breath is a really great alternative to the needly evergreens. So I'm just going to take some momentary breaks and kind of hold it up against the wall just to kind of see where my shape is going. Cut any of the wonky stems that are sticking out on the inside. The reason baby's breath is called baby's breath is because it kind of smells like sour milk. So if you are planning on making this for a party or someone else's house, I recommend letting it dry out a little bit before you expose it to people because it is not the nicest smell. So I'm just kind of alternating between gold and silver so I get these nice little moments. I really like to color block. I find, especially with wispier pieces like this, it has a lot more impact if you have these moments of silver and these moments of gold and these moments of white, rather than it all being kind of mashed together. You can get baby's breath in any color you want. I chose the glitter sprayed silver and gold ones because I thought it would be fun for New Year's because I'm a little bit extra. But you can get it in every color of the rainbow, and it's all dip dyed through the stems. So just contact your local florist and they can order it directly from the grower for you. Keep in mind also when you're making your wreath form that once you start adding your materials, you're gonna get an extra like 6 to 8 inches put onto your wreath. So if you want your wreath to measure, say, 20 inches in circumference, you probably only wanna make the form around 14 inches. So this is what my back looks like so far. And I'm just kind of keeping my stem ends super tidy and flush to the chicken wire. I'm also making sure to kind of look at it from all angles, because if someone comes at your door from the side, you don't want any chicken wire exposed. Just making sure everything's really well covered. So now, as I'm nearing the end, I kind of want to come in again and address these more stemmy areas, and that's the spots where you're seeing more green than you are seeing bloom, and you may still be able to see bits of chicken wire. And so that's where I kind of switch back to the shorter stems again, and just kind of coming in and stuffing them right into the base to just kind of cover up those dead zones. Because what keeps it so cloudy is not being able to see the stems. And making sure the inside is well covered too, because that's often the area that gets missed. And if you're having trouble getting it, snug to the base, just grab the back of the stem and pull it through from behind. Okay, so I'm almost done. My last step is going to be to hold it up against the wall, just to get a clearer idea of which areas need a bit more addressing. So right now, from where I'm standing, I can see a bunch of stem ends kind of sticking out on the inside of the wreath. So I'm gonna come around with my clippers and just kind of give it a buzz cut. Any of the extra long stems that are sticking out are gonna go. And we really don't wanna see a lot of stem at all. We wanna see flowers. And I'm seeing it's a little bottom heavy and a little top heavy. I think it could use a little bit more movement around these edges. So I'm just gonna come in with a few more long pieces, not too much because I don't wanna overdo it. And I like having kind of varying degrees of heaviness, and just kind of have a few key areas of movement in these flatter zones. Voila! Here is your finished Baby's Breath cloud wreath. Thanks for watching my video. If you want to learn more, hit like and subscribe. Bye!